Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the IPA Commercial Conference. My name's Tom Knox. I'm the still relatively new president of the IPA, so I'm very happy to welcome you all here. You've got a fantastic morning ahead, so I'm not going to chunter on for too long, you'll be pleased to know. But I do want to take the opportunity to put today's subject into a little bit of context. So that, as you know, the subject of the conference is long-term value in a short-term world. And in particular, I'd just like to say a few words about how I think that, that subject fits into my agenda. I'm sure that not many of you have subjected yourself to listening to my agenda, but it is available on YouTube should you have a sort of sleepless night. So what I talked about in my inaugural speech, which was back in April, was an agenda which had the heading of Here for Good. And I said that I believe that what we do is fundamentally of great value and good. Good for businesses and the economy, good for consumers and society as a whole, and good for the people who work in it. And I said I wanted the agenda to demonstrate and celebrate not just the economic, but also the societal values and benefits of advertising and marketing. So the values as well as the value of what we do. But I also said that this wasn't hippie do-gooding. And that it's a reality that commercial effectiveness is bound up with the notion of doing the right thing. So I was really delighted to be asked to kick off today and be part of today's conference, because I want it to be absolutely clear that my agenda has commercial effectiveness at its heart, which is why, amongst other things, we're introducing a new effectiveness award, which will reward commercial, not charity, commercial campaigns that have demonstrably added societal value as well as economic value. So I'm thinking there about campaigns like Always Is Like a Girl, or Barclays Life Skills, or Dove's campaign for Real Beauty. So ones where the virtuous link between societal values and economic value has been demonstrated. And I feel like the context for this is I think we've reached a kind of tipping point in the discussion about marketing, the role of brands, and even, dare I say it, rather highfalutinly, market capitalism itself. Because since the 60s, really up until the financial crisis in 2008, the consensus seemed to be that maximising shareholder value was the sole concern of business. So the real poster boy and high priest of that point of view would be an economist like Milton Friedman, who said, quote, "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits." But I think there's an increasing number of people who are prepared to say that they think that Milton Friedman was wrong, which is a safer thing to say now that he's dead. Although I have to say, I was looking up at him, and he was incredibly prescient about the demise of the euro. So to give him his due, there's a speech that he made where he almost predicts exactly what has currently come to pass. Anyway, he being dead, he can't argue back. So I think that a lot of people, and there are lots of much cleverer people than me who have talked about the real, full responsibility of business is to create wealth for society as a whole, to produce the goods and services that customers need and want, and to provide rewarding and fulfilling employment, and to do all this in a sustainable way. And everywhere you look today, economists, business people and commentators are talking about what the Whole Foods CEO, John Mackey, in the States has called conscious capitalism. He's written a book about what he calls conscious capitalism. And my view is that companies and brands need to embrace conscious capitalism, not because it's trendy or because it's nice, but because it works and that it is effective in the marketplace, and there's quite a lot of evidence to support that, which Mackey goes into some detail on. And you know, one of the most oft-cited examples, because they're a very big company and a global company and a marketing-driven company, is Unilever. And their CEO, Paul Pullman, has made a very clear and bold statement about what their strategy is. So he said, our vision is to double the size of our business, reduce our environmental footprint, and increase our positive social impact. But one of the very first things that Pullman did when he became CEO was to scrap quarterly reporting. So he said that, we don't operate on a 90-day cycle in terms of our advertising, our marketing, or our investment. So it makes no sense for us to report to Wall Street on a 90-day cycle. And that had an immediate and negative impact on their share price, which they did then recover. But in the first instance, it was regarded, obviously, by analysts as a fairly radical thing to do. So I think that's a really tangible example of how today's title, long-term value in a short-term world, is actually directly relevant to the challenges that we and our clients are facing. Because trying to build more sustainable businesses, investing in talent, innovating for the future, all of these things are really, really hard to achieve in the short term. They're not really short-term things. And also we're operating, as I'm sure all the agency people in the room would agree, we're operating in an environment in which we are still finding a lot of downward pressure on our margins. And that has its own challenges in terms of looking up and thinking to the future. So, as I think we're going to hear today, there is a lot of work for us to do and for agencies to do to get up the value chain and get the kind of valued relationships we want with our clients. And I think today's agenda is going to touch on all three of the goods that I mentioned. So good for businesses and the economy, good for consumers and society, and good for our talent. I can't wait to hear from the absolutely stellar lineup of speakers we've got. So that's absolutely enough from me, and I hope you all really enjoy today, find it inspiring and rewarding, and most of all, really useful in making us all more commercially effective. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tim. Thank you.